Hello. Check volume. Hello, hello. Yes, this thing needs to be tweaked just a little bit, doesn't it? Yes, it does. Tweak, tweak, tweak. Volume. Okay, I think that's probably good. Oh, we're gonna get started here pretty quick, guys. We're gonna get started pretty quick. Let me just change a few things here. I'm not entirely sure the best place for my camera here, but I will probably be moving it around several times throughout this stream. Oh, where's my bullet point list? I should have made a bullet point list. I think if I made a bullet point list, I might be a bit more organized. What do you think? Probably. All right, we're just gonna kind of wing it then, because I don't have the organization. I don't really have anything to show you in the science area. I have it here because I wanted the music in the background, so there it is. Okay, so quick update on the Conquering Kerbal Space Program series. That's what this live stream is all about, just to kind of update you on what's going on. My expectations in terms of some of the challenges we're going to have to face ahead, some of the changes that have been made to the series, as well as to the mod list and things like that, which I do not have available for you yet. So before anyone asks about the mod list, it is not available yet. It will be available when episode 85 comes out. The second answer to the question that is inevitably going to happen, I do not know when that episode will happen. So I don't have a timeline for that. But I wanted to give you a brief look at some of the things that we're going to be doing and some of the things that are going to be changing, okay? So the first thing that's going to be changing a little bit is we have a few different nodes for research. They're not really all that different than we had before. I have most of the research done now. I did not do this manually. I cheated myself some science and then unlocked all these things. But the community tech tree is far more vast, and it takes way more science to unlock everything in the community tech tree than it does to unlock things in the stock tech tree. There are simply more nodes, and they cost a lot more as you go through. So some of these nodes are still empty. So things like this one here, for example, applied energy physics, still empty. Experimental electrical systems, still empty. Even the ultra high energy physics, still empty. I imagine if I got into the interstellar mod, things would populate in those things. I do not have the interstellar mod installed. I'm trying to do this challenge without using the interstellar mod. It adds complexity. I'm trying to simplify things. So a couple of things that I've done to try and simplify the series a little bit. And I have actually way too much science. Give me a second here. Also, forewarning, and you probably already heard it, there might be some background noise behind the stream. I apologize in advance if that's somehow loud in the microphone or it's distracting or anything. I'm sorry. Let me get my science turned back down, because I'm not supposed to have that much. I think I had 52 science before, which I can't really go... Oh, there it is. Yeah, I can actually do that increment. So there you go. 52 science. Okay. So, yeah, we've got the tech tree pretty much wrapped up. That's cool. That part's done. That's the easy part. Let's take a look really quick at the tracking station, because I want to show you guys how I'm simplifying things a little bit. I still have some work to do on getting some crafts in orbit. I still have a lot of work to do in getting crafts that we had before, but for the most part, things are kind of back to the way they used to be. So the satellite network around Kerbin is done, our triangle network. That's all done. I also have 2 polar satellites that are in roughly the same orbit as they were in before. The only difference is instead of being eccentric, the orbits are now circular, because that's just the easiest way to edit it when you're editing these things into space. It's the easiest way to do it is just to have it circular. So I haven't bothered to put any eccentricity on. The light network around Kerbin is all done. Everything's fine there. The same thing is true for the moon. That satellite network is done, as well as the polar scanning satellite, which is scanning for resources now. And same thing with Minmus. Minmus's satellite network is completed as well. There's also a bunch of brightly colored circles around here and ellipticals and things around here, and that's just contracts. I have accepted quite a few contracts. I might just... Some of these, I'm just going to do them really quickly. Others, I will just cheat them in because I've already done them in the series. Things like taking a picture of the sun, for example. I don't need to go and do that again. But throughout the course of restoring a lot of my crafts, Kate asks the question. Hey, Kate, Kate has to ask it. You guys both did. All right, nice. You guys are funny, haha. Throughout the course of getting my crafts back in orbit, I will somehow do a lot of these things over time. So scan Minmus for ore, for example. This is already underway. It's already being done. Scanning the moons, scanning Kerbin, all that stuff. The cool thing is, and I don't know if it's done yet, I guess we'll go here and see if it's done. Obviously, this is KSP 1.2.2. There are a lot of things that are different. The first thing that's different in the mod list is that I'm no longer using Ven Stock Revamp. Ven Stock Revamp is no longer a part of the series. It's kind of experimental / beta in the newest version of KSP anyway. There are plenty of reasons why I would maybe be skeptical on stability, why I wouldn't want to use it. But I wanted to show you guys one change I made. I figured it out. I don't know why. This was so easy to figure out. Uranium or dirt. I don't know. I don't know if it's actually going to show me. I want it to show me the overlay. How do I get to do that? Overlay control. Here we go. I want you to show me resources. Okay. So before, and I guess I can't show you because it hasn't been long enough. No, scratch that. It's been so long in the game so far, time-wise, that it's already finished its scans. But before, in the series, in the previous episodes, when I got in range to scan a planet for resources, this scanner was doing it instantaneously. It was still doing it like stock does it. It was doing altimetry and biome scans and all the other stuff the way I wanted with ScanSat, but the resources were still happening instantaneously. And I never figured out why that was. I was like, maybe it's just the part I use. I need to use a different part or something. No more. I figured it out. This will now operate to find resources in the exact same way that it does everything else. It just happens to have taken a while, so it's already done with Minmus. It doesn't really work with my plan because it's already done with Minmus, but let's go back to the tracking station. A couple of other things. Did Couchbot not work? Let me see. Did Couchbot not work? Couchbot, where are you? Couchbot, yeah, it worked. It's just, yeah, it's really late. Okay, so it started like 7 minutes late. Fair enough. Okay. So that's around Kerbin's sphere of influence. Now you might be wondering about Duna, perhaps, because we were on our way to Duna at the time. So let's go towards Duna. We're not going to go directly to Duna, but I did want to show you something here. So in Duna's sphere of influence, we had one satellite that had already reached Duna, right? And we've got that one here. It has roughly the same, kind of the same orbit as it had before. Not quite. I think it actually before was a little bit more polar than this, but whatever. I don't really care about the fine details of things. This is fine as it is. But this is my relay satellite around Duna. It has been restored to its rightful position. Now, the one thing I do not have done is the base, sending the base parts to Duna. That part's not done, and the reason it's not done is not because of a lack of parts. It's because my plans have changed with regarding the base. My plans have changed, and that'll be revealed in about like 5 minutes. You'll understand why those plans have changed. But case in point, I cannot use the same base launch vehicle that I did before with the new plans because it wouldn't work anymore. So I will go over that in about 5 minutes. You'll see. On its way to Duna, because it was also on its way to Duna in the series. It hadn't reached Duna yet, so I wanted to restore something that was on its way to Duna without just like throwing it there, right? I didn't want to launch it into Kerbin and wait for the launch window and all that stuff. I want to get going with the series. I want to start making videos again, and in order to do that, I need everything sort of similar to where it was before. So I've launched the Duna satellite delivery, okay? The Duna satellite delivery, if we go to this vehicle, this is the vessel that I had launched prior to the crash. I had launched this, I don't know, I think episode 75, 74. I don't remember what episode it was, but we launched this big sort of vessel that had a whole bunch of satellites on it. It was going to basically one launch that carried all the satellites we were going to need for the Duna sphere of influence, right? And then we realized we were too slow. We needed to get there. So then we sent that race probe to get there first, right? The one that's around Duna now is like that race probe, okay? This one is the probe that had all the other satellites on it. So I rebuilt this. It's slightly different in design because I have slightly different parts available to me now. but for the most part, it's the exact same thing. So this vessel has 6 regular old relay satellites. Let's just focus on like this part here, I guess. This is a stock function now, by the way. You can now right-click on a part and click aim camera, and you'll just aim the camera at that part. That's kind of cool. The only downside of that is that you can't, maybe you can with a hotkey, and I just don't know what that hotkey is. But to my understanding, you can't. I have to actually like click on the right part and then hit reset camera. Or click on like any other part, aim the camera, and then reset camera, which, you know, whatever. I can also use the mod that I had before, which is, I don't remember the name. It's camera something. You'll get it in the old mod list, but if I hit 0, it also zooms in on that part as well. Not 0, O. The letter, not the number. So anyway, there's 6 relay satellites right here, 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 and here. Then this one here also is these 2. So that's 6. It'll be 3 for Duna and 3 for Ike. Then we have 2 science satellites, which are identical to each other. Let's just zoom in on those really quick. 2, maybe here instead. There we go. I just can't aim this camera like I want. There we go. 2 science satellites that are exactly the same. They have different science instrumentation on them. They've got this multispectral scanner. Not really sure why I put that on there now that I think about it, but whatever. Magnetometer, orbital telescope, the solar particle collector, all that stuff is all on both of these satellites. One will go over Duna, one will go to Ike, right? Then we've got the scanning modules, which are going to scan for resources. So this vessel here, I'm just going through what I already launched. This is a replication of what was already launched and paid for before. But just to remind people, because it's been a while. We've got our scanning satellite here, which got the altimetry, high resolution, low resolution, and then the resource scanner here, along with one of those little, I think I put one of those little multispectral things. Yeah, right here. Right, this thing right here. Multispectral imaging platform is right here. That'll give me biome information as well. So that's going to go again, 1 for Duna, 1 for Ike. And then the final thing here is additional relay satellites, so that we're not relying on just one thing going polar around Duna to get a signal back to Kerbin. So we'll have additional interplanetary, if you will, relay satellites here as well. I think both of these will end up over top of Duna, but they'll be in polar orbits. They'll have different inclinations and different heights or different elevations, altitudes, if you will, whatever you want to call it. So we'll always have a connection to Kerbin in that way. So that's that vessel, that ship. It's on its way to Duna, and currently its trajectory takes it to just go to Duna here really quick. I'm trying to. It's not letting me click on it. No. You're not gonna let me click on it, are you? Why not? That sucks. I literally can't. I can click on literally anything else. Really bizarre. I want to zoom my camera in on Duna and it won't let me. What is going on here? Yeah, right here. That's what I've been trying to get the whole time. Focus view. Really bizarre. Okay. So this vessel is on its way to rendezvous with Duna here. Right? It's got a. I did this manually, by the way. I got this craft, this satellite delivery probe, if you will. I edited it into space in a Kerbal orbit, right? A solar orbit. And then I manually set a maneuver node at the correct time, and then did the maneuver, burned it, and all that stuff. So I kind of did it from a Kerbal orbit instead of from a Kerbin orbit, because the Kerbin and Duna, they're not in alignment, right? They don't the launch window, right? It's not lined up right now. So I had to actually edit the craft into a position where it would be lined up. Anyway, so this is going to get into a equatorial orbit here. And then we'll eventually start working at where these satellites are going to go from there. We're not going to encounter Ike at all. That's going to be fine. Okay. Back to the Space Center. I want to talk really quick about some of the major changes that have happened to the game. One of the major changes, probably the biggest major change that's happening from episodes 84 and before, and episodes 85 and onwards, is our life support system. That's probably the biggest change that's been made. We are no longer using TAC life support. We are now on USI life support. A couple of reasons why I did this. The first was integration with 1.2.2 and all the rest of the parts and everything. TAC is good, but it's not perfect yet. And I want to get going on this. The second thing is that USI Life Support in the newest version has integrated some interesting little features and twists into things. It's rebalanced a lot of things, and it's added a new mechanic called, right here, Life Support Setup is on this menu. It's called, oh yeah, this is not the window I thought I was going to see. One second. Let's go to the VA spaceplane hangar. Let's go to the spaceplane hangar. It's called Habitation, I think it's called, but, or it's homesickness. They have a term for it that's not either one of those things, I think. So give me a second, I'll find it. Well, of course I won't, because I can't have parts. Let's get a part really quick. Oh, it's called Habitation. Okay, fair enough. So USI Life Support has added a habitation mechanic into its life support, and Kerbals can become homesick now. If they get away from Kerbin for too long, they'll become homesick, and then they turn into tourists. They stop functioning, and like you have to bring them back home, if you will, or provide them with an atmosphere that makes them less homesick, or provide a facility and a medic, which we'll get to in a second. Provide a facility and a medic so that they can sort of replenish, if you will, or talk them into it, or restore them from their homesickness a little bit. And that uses new supplies called colony supplies, which is created, I believe, and this is all off memory, I don't have any notes in front of me, from a new resource that's been added to the game, silicates and silicon. So we have new resources to manage, we have a new mechanic to consider, and Kerbals can effectively stop being good for me to use if they are staying away from Kerbin for too long. And that really puts a wrench into the whole self-sufficient, fully operational base in every planet mechanic, right? Because if I want to send Kerbals to Elu, or even like a Lathe base or something, right? If I want to send them out that way, it's going to take years to get there. And are they going to be homesick before they even get to their destination? And even when they get to the destination, are they going to be useful to get everything set up, right? Is that going to happen? Are they going to be able to, are they going to be able to function before they get homesick and turn into tourists? So there's a whole new mechanic that I have to try and figure out how to do. I don't know all the specifics about it. I don't know everything that I need to be successful yet, and I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to work with bases, but I want to give you a preview of sort of how that works. So, actually, you know what? To do this the best way, let's take a look at the station. Because we had a live stream before. We had a previous live stream that I just did like 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Maybe it was last week. Where we together, live, we rebuilt the PISS, right? We rebuilt the prior interstellar space station. And that was really fun. That was a lot of fun. I've made a lot of modifications to that design since the stream, because when we did it in the stream, when we built that station again in the stream, we were using TAC life support. Now that I've switched, I have to have a whole bunch of reconsiderations here. So I'm going to load the station. It was built in the VAB, but I'm going to load it here in the spaceplane hangar anyway. Then we're going to have to find the root part and rotate it, so give me a second. Or maybe I don't. Nope, doesn't look like I have to. But it is going to be a little too challenging to view in here. So actually, let's get out of here, actually. We're going to have to go back to the VAB to look at this. But I want to show you guys I give you a sample of how this mechanic is going to affect our game. And one of the ways where, as gamey as it is, I've kind of found a way to game this just a little bit. But I just kind of want to show you how I'm going to approach this, because it's a new life support system that really is going to make things more challenging. We don't have to manage food, water, oxygen, carbon dioxide. We don't have to do solid waste anymore. We don't have to manage, I forget what the other waste product was, but we don't have to manage all those separate products now. Now we only have to manage two things, and really it's mostly just one thing. We have to manage supplies and mulch. We don't have to really manage mulch. The extra mulch can just get thrown overboard, just like the regular solid waste and stuff did. But it's supplies is what we have to manage now. And supplies deplete much faster than food, water, and oxygen did with TAC life support. Kerbals use more supplies, use supplies quicker than they used those other resources. So there's more considerations in life support now that I didn't have before. I'm going to reload the station now in the VAB where we built it. Keep in mind, if you were there at the live stream before, this station is going to look different to you than it was before. And that's because I've made changes to cope with the changes with USI life support. So here we go. I'm going to get rid of these. I was just using those to launch it, but here's the station, okay? Now, the station is mostly the same. We've got the docking ports and stuff that are all there. Everything's pretty much in place like it was before, but you'll notice there are some differences, especially down in this area, and we'll go over that in a second. The first big thing I had to consider here was the fact that we no longer have food, water, and oxygen, right? We have supplies we have to deal with. So right away, this area down here is no longer food, it's just like TAC life support, like containers that have food, water, and oxygen in them. No longer is that the case. Now, these are just containers full of supplies. These supply containers also hold mulch. Mulch is we'll go with poo, kerbal poo, okay? And you can use mulch to create fertilizers and things like that to, Mark Watney that crap, right? So you can do that. But here's the thing, though. All the different systems that I need to manage these kerbals, all the different systems that I need in order to compensate for this new mechanic with habitation and everything requires a lot more power. Potentially a lot more power. Potentially. So for that reason, we've got a lot of batteries here. These are 10Ks. Each of these are 10K batteries. And these are also 10K batteries all through here. Now you might be asking yourself, or you might be asking, well, Charlie, doesn't this cost a lot more money than you launched before? And you're right, it does. It does cost a lot more money. So here's how much it costs more. This station in total costs, where's my mouse? Off the top of my head. $425,000 more for this station as it is right now, right here, than I've already paid in the series. Rather than launching this stuff up there, because a lot of this stuff is like integrated within the parts in the middle, right? So like a lot of the stuff, for example, are things like these containers. These are recycling modules, which we'll get into why the recycling modules are important in a second, but these are recycling modules. And each one of these, I have basically 64 of them, I think. 8, 16, 32, 64. I have 64 of these. The reason why there are 64 of these is because the maximum capacity for the station is no longer 40. It's actually 64. Maximum amount of people is 64. There's a recycling canister for every potential occupant. That doesn't mean that every canister is going to be operating. I can shut them off at will, one at a time. I've actually have them in the action groups. I've actually went ahead and put them in action groups. Each one of these recycling rows, it has its own action group, because each one of them, of course, uses power as well. And recycling modules with USI are only effective if there's if there is enough kerbals docked there or stationed there to be effective with. So, for example, if I have recycling modules for 40 kerbals, but I only have 10 on the station, I'm not going to have 4 times the impact for my recycling modules. I'm going to have 10 that are working and 30 that are running but doing nothing, right? So I don't want to waste power in that sense. So I have them in action groups so I don't have to sit there and click through each one of them and right-click and activate 64 times when I get it up to orbit. I don't want to do that. So now I can just go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0. Done. And then I can turn them off if I want to. So if I only have 8 kerbals on the station, I only need 1 row active. The rest of them can just sit there dormant, not using power. Perfect. Okay. A couple of things I had to change here as well. This module here is the medical bay. Now, we'll get into medics in a second. We'll get into the different classes in a second. The medical bay is going to be used to sort of restore Kerbals who are homesick, right? When they get homesick, you put them in the medical bay with a medic, and they basically are going to use up something called colony supplies. So, right here. This tank here has colony supplies in it. And that's another reason why there's 3 extra tanks on this now. It's not quite as long as it was before. Remember the other module we had in the series before? There was like, I think 10 tanks in a line all the way down. There's 1 extra tank now. But instead of it being this long thing that's all the way down, I've kind of put it in this different arrangement like this now. So instead of there being 10 tanks that go in a big line, there's now 11 tanks, I believe. 1, 2, 3. There's 3 here. This white tank here, another one there, and another one there. And then there are 2 in each of these little areas here. So that's 8 plus 3, 11 tanks. 1 extra tank than we had before. Okay. The cargo tank. These cargo tanks have chemicals. I believe the chemicals are going to be good for manufacturing things in space later. I do not have... I had storage for chemicals before on the station, but I didn't have it like a good place to really store it, right? Before, I had these big circular tanks. Where are they? I think they're in the USI group, actually. They are here. I was going to use these circular tanks here. You can't see them very well, so let me put this in there. Yeah, you guys didn't see this before because the station wasn't done. But there used to be docking ports in the middle here. You remember that? Because I used to dock the tug, the space tug. You used to dock to the middle of the station, right? There's no docking ports in the middle of the station anymore. But the other side, where the tug did not dock to, there was 2 of them. The space tug would dock to 1, then there was 1 free. The other side was meant, I was going to send these tanks up and store chemicals. I don't need these tanks anymore because I don't have that there. So instead of having that giant tank for chemicals, I've got these little ones around the middle. Okay, there's 10,000 units in chemicals here. Now I am going to send this up with all these tanks full, okay? Now, you might be thinking, well, you just kind of cheated yourself resources, didn't you? Okay, so yes, I did. Here's how I'm going to compensate for it, though. I'm going to pay twice as much for them. So rather than the station costing 425,000 more, I am instead going to pay $1 million for all of it. Okay? So $1 million are going to be taken out of my account. When I start the series, I should have a little over 900,000 in my account. I should have a little over 900,000. I had 1.96 at the end of the recording for episode 85, which you guys never saw. But it was, I basically corrected and moved things on the surface of Minmus and got things kind of close to where it was going to be, but I wasn't quite done with it. And then I'd also forgotten to send something up. I forget what it was now. So I was going to have to launch another thing up to complete the base, or at least to get it going, to get it manufacturing. At the end of that episode, which I never released because there's no point to do it, and then the hard drive crashed and I lost the footage anyway, I had 1.9 million. So I should have a little over 900,000 when everything is done, right? Because I'm going to pay $1 million for something that costs 425,000 more. So, other units, other modules. Before, we used to have 2 agricultural units, right? We had this Habitation ring here, which has gotten a reskin. It looks pretty cool. And we had this one here, which is great. And then we had the Zoology Bay, an Agriculture, a Kerbitat, and an Agriculture module. Now, we have the Agriculture module. It's on this side. But the Agriculture module has multiple modes. We can aggregate, we can do agroponics, or we can cultivate, I think it's the S is, I forget what resource that is. It starts with an S. Off the tip of my tongue. Honestly, guys, try to talk all day and then get your brain to work when you want it to. It doesn't work. I know somebody's gonna tell me what it is. They're gonna put it in the comments. Gosh, Charlie, how do you not know that? Yeah, I know. It starts with an S, but or we can cultivate dirt, which is the D. I'm pretty sure. Like, I know what this is. I just can't think of it. Anyway, so We have also some monopropellant tanks here. There's a little bit more storage for monopropellant this time than there was last time. Admittedly, there is more, but like I said, I'm paying double for this stuff. Then we have a big water tank here. Not entirely sure what I'm going to use the water for. I think it's going to be useful for agroponics and kind of keeping things good, but the water is really cheap, and it's kind of just here as something to mount the solar panel to. Honestly, it's really cheap and it doesn't really cost much, so I figure, like, why not? Doesn't matter. What is this? It costs 2,000 bucks. Like, big deal. Is that what it costs, really? Actually, yeah, that's what it costs. 2,000. So 2,000 out of the $3 million for the station, it costs 2,000. Nothing. So I put it there because it's probably useful. Of course, we have station science as well. We're gonna have station science. So we've got docking ports up on top of this with lights here and all that stuff, and then we've got this module. This is the colonization module. Now I believe, and again, I'm going off the top of my head here, so people who do USI a lot are gonna probably correct me in the comments, and that's totally cool. You can do that. I believe the colonization module is useful for creating the colony supplies we're gonna need, right? So if we send a Kerbal up to the station, let's say they get homesick, they're gonna get sent to the medical bay, which is gonna help alleviate some of that homesickness. They're gonna give them colony supplies to help them with that, right? They're gonna consume colony supplies. I believe the colonization module is where we make those colony supplies, I think. And we use silicon to do that, and we have to, mix and match. So these tanks down here have fertilizer in them. This one over here has recyclables. It's only half full. It's fine, whatever. Colony supplies is here. Got machinery in both of these tanks because all of these things take machinery now. In fact, even to expand this, let's say I'm gonna ship it up with it already expanded, but let's say I had this collapse. Let's do this one. It's easier to see, I think. Probably a little bit. I don't know. I can't zoom out anymore. I'm trying to, but it won't let me here. Let's move the station. Let's move the station this way. Come on now. There we go. All right. So let's say I collapse this or retract it, right? So I pull this in, and I was to ship it up like this, right? In order to have this expand while it's in space, I have to spend machinery to do it, right? I have to spend resources. And material kits, I think, too. I have to spend resources in order to even expand it, right? A lot of the stuff is gonna cost resources to do things. And this is gonna apply across the board with every station we try to build in space, everything we send to Duna, everything we do on the surface. So if we ever want to expand something that's inflatable or change modes even, right? So like, for instance, the agricultural module, it's in, where is it? There's no agricultural module on this side anymore. These are two Kerbitats. Let me go this way. Oh yeah, way to go, station. You hold it right there, will ya? So this agricultural module, right? It's in agroponics right now. If I want to change this to cultivate sulfates, not sulfates, it's the things, substrates. There it is. Jesus, that took forever. Substrates. If I want to change this from agroponics to cultivating substrates, what this means is it will take the substrates that we have in storage and use that to generate supplies, right? Or dirt. It will sift through the dirt and find the resources we're looking for and turn that into the resource we're looking for. Or the agroponics, which is the most energy efficient, but it's probably the slowest, doesn't produce as much, I don't think. But that uses the agroponics module. If I want to change modes, in the VAB I can do it for free. But once I'm in space, it costs resources to do it. It costs material kits and machinery, I think, to change it, right? Like, it's crazy. So that's the kind of stuff we have to deal with now. Of course, we still have the animals in space. We still have the cyclotrons over here, and we have these little cupola modules. I've put these little cupola modules here, okay? On top of this, on top of the Kerbitats, on top of this. And the reason for this is not for aesthetics, it's for purpose. So back to the life support, right? This is the life support status. Hopefully you guys can see it really well on the stream. Hopefully it's nice and clear. We're streaming today in 30 frames per second in hopes that it will be stable for everybody. So hopefully it is. Life support status. Let's take a look at this window. Currently, I have, for crew, I have only one Kerbal in there for crew, right? Currently, it's Jebediah Kerman, okay? And I have not changed the names of the Kerbals yet, so I have to get on that. I will do that, but I haven't done it yet. There are 29 Kerbals in the game. There were 27 at the end of 84. We actually got 2 more Kerbals in 85, but again, it doesn't matter. I paid for them, so like whatever. So we've got 29 Kerbals. I have to change their names yet. With one Kerbal on the station, if there's only one Kerbal on the station, you can see current and maximum on the life support. If it's only one Kerbal, they can survive 48 years on the station, right? 48 years just consuming the supplies that are already there, right? That's not generating more. That's just the supplies that are there. They can live for 48 years. If they're not using any of the resources, then the amount of power that one Kerbal consumes, they'll be able to last 4 years on the batteries that are there, right? They're not using hardly any. There's so much electric charge that if they're not using any resources and it's just them being there, just to keep them alive, not counting anything else, the batteries will last for 4 years, right? That's a long time. Go with me on this. Habitation. If there's only one Kerbal on board, that Kerbal will not get homesick for 520 years. It takes forever for him to get homesick, right? Because, you know, there's a whole bunch of stuff there. There's a whole bunch of space. The more space in the station, the more habitable space there is in the station, the more they're okay with living in space, right? If they start to feel cramped, they start to feel bored, there's not a whole lot for them to do, there's not a whole lot for the places for them to go, then they start getting more homesick. If I was to max out the crew, if I was to put 64 Kerbals on this station, which I'm never probably going to, but let's just assume that at some point there will be 64 Kerbals on the station. Now they can last 174 days, right? Not 48 years, 174 days. The batteries, again, just to keep them alive, nothing else running, the batteries can last 27 days. Not 4 years, 27 days. Habitation, they're going to be good by 8 years. That's pretty cool. And there actually, I might have been an update on this mod since I've installed it, because I believe that used to be 6 years. So I think something might have changed, because I remember that being 6 years, but that's fine, 8 years. So how this works with Habitation, and you'll notice these numbers are really large. Like, these are really big numbers. Like, wow, 520 years, that seems excessive. Okay, it is. This is how I'm gonna sort of try and game this system. The way it's set up with USI Life Support, the way it's set up is that a Kerbal's homesickness here. Can you guys still see me? My stream data just said that you're not receiving any data. Hold on. YouTube is now telling me that I'm not sending data. Can you guys still hear me? I'm actually gonna wait until you guys tell me that you can hear me still before I continue, because I don't want to sit here and talk. I want to know what's happening here. YouTube, why are you screwing up on me? Come on. YouTube, what are you doing? What are you doing to me here? YouTube. Can you guys see? Can you guys hear? I don't want to continue if I'm talking to myself, but now it says it's fine. It says it's fine now. So as long as it's going to tell me that it's fine, I'm going to continue. But I'm a little worried about the drop frames and stuff that we might have had there just a little bit ago. Okay. So you guys think it's fine now? I guess we'll proceed. So how this system works is the Kerbal's rating, individual rating on a per Kerbal basis, they will not get homesick for a set duration of time. And that duration of time is determined by the habitation of the largest habitation rating that they've been in space. For example, I send a Kerbal, one Kerbal, into this station. He goes inside the station. He can now stay in space. If there's only one Kerbal in the station, he can now stay in space for 520 years before he'll become homesick. I can now put him in a smaller craft and send him wherever I want. He can go and do whatever he wants to do, but he will still not get homesick for 520 years because he's been inside the station, and that's the highest rating, right? The highest rating of all crafts was 520 years. Now, obviously, we're gonna have like maybe 6 Kerbals. So let's say I have 12 on the station, right? Let's say I put 12 more in there. So we put the scientist. It doesn't really matter where I stick them. So Let's just put like 12 people in here, right? That's what, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, nope, there's 11. I'm miscounting here. That's 12. So we have 12 Kerbals on the station now, okay? All the habitation stuff just changed. With 12 Kerbals on the station, they can last 4 years worth of supplies, but their habitation rating is only 10 years, okay? So the more Kerbals that are on the station, the smaller the habitation rating. So let's say let's say I bring a ship. I'm gonna send people to Duna, right? I wanna send people to Duna. I wanna send a crew of 8 to Duna. So I've got this little craft, I send them up in a rocket, there's 8 of them, right? And then I dock them to the station. 8 Kerbals in the station, okay? So let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, not that guy. 4, 5, come on, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I just docked 8 Kerbals to the station. Bam. They have a 5-year habitation period now, right? Because that's what it says here, 5 years, okay? Which means that every single Kerbal that I just docked to the station is good. They were not gonna get homesick for 5 years, okay? Then I can take the 8 away and off they go. Unless they go to a craft that's larger, that has more habitation rating, that will be their rating. If they do find another station that's larger, that has a bigger habitation rating, then they'll get that new rating. It's not gonna reset to 0. It's gonna stay the same. They've still been in space for a set total amount of time, but at least their maximum now has been extended. You can improve this by having a medic inside a medical bay, okay? And making more colony supplies so you don't run out of colony supplies. So that's sort of the changes that are made. That's a pretty big amount of changes because we didn't have that before. You know, before when I was planning on doing this self-sufficient base on every single planet thing, Kerbals would stay in space so long as they had life support supplies, right? As long as you kept them fed and watered and you kept them air to breathe, they will just stay in space. They love it in space. Now, Kerbals love it in space, but they also like to see their families too. Okay? They can't stay in space an indefinite amount of time. The really cool part I like about this challenge, this is gonna make it even more challenging, but the really cool part I like about this is that this forces me to rotate my staff in all of my bases, right? Moon, Minmus, whatever. Remember in Conquering KSP, I had 4 scientists on the surface of Minmus, and they were just sitting there for almost 2 years, just researching science on the surface of Minmus in one tiny little pod, right? And they had another 2 years of life support to go. I can't do that now. That's over with because they'll get homesick. Their craft is so small, and there's 4 of them in there. They can't operate in space that long without getting homesick. So I would need to go and rescue them, and they'd be useless to rescue because I can't control them. They'd be like tourists, right? So that would be a difficult mission, right? I'd have to basically connect to that station in some way, and then transfer them to my station, transfer them to my craft, and up we go. It'd be much more difficult. So that would be, I think that's going to be a huge challenge, right? Let's check out this station as we get it into space. I want to put this into space and show you guys something. I think it's kind of cool. This has been brought to my attention. These construction docking ports, right? These Clampotron construction port seniors. These will only work with themselves. I've been told these only work with themselves, so I can't dock anything else other than a construction port to these, which is okay because later on, if you're wondering what this is, if you didn't see the previous live stream, if you're wondering what this is, let me find the fuel tank here. This is eventually going to be this, right? All the way around. We're gonna have these big fuel tanks. So ships will be able to use the station to refuel as well, which is important because if we send something up, let's say we want to send a huge rocket assortment or a huge solar, not solar array, a whole bunch of relay satellites, right? Like we're sending to Duna. Let's say we want to do that, but we want to do it to Erlem or Plock, really, really far away. Like I could build a rocket that can get there from Kerbin's surface directly to Plok. I could do that, but wow, would that be way more expensive than it needs to be. Instead, what I'd like to do is engineer something that can get whatever I need to ship, get it up to the station, refuel it, and then go. That would be really cool. That'd be easier, I think. So that's what that's gonna be. It's gonna eventually be a refueling depot too. Overall, like I said, the station costs $425,000 more than what I paid for it already originally. There are no parts on the station, aside from the chemical tanks. There are no parts on this station that I did not have previously, that existed previously. So in other words, like the medical bay didn't exist before because we didn't need it because we had TAC life support. The colonization module didn't exist. We had TAC life support, right? Other than those two things, and the rest of these recyclers, which are all related directly to the life support, and the additional power, which is related to all these recyclers and all the different components that work with the new life support. Other than all of that, it works, right? For power consumption, let's take a look at ampere. I want to do a dark side calculation for 240 kilometers above Kerbin's surface. Right? Now, for some reason or another, like I said, all this stuff has changed. I think USI rebalanced some stuff because this used to be good. This used to be totally fine. And now I'm 5,000 power shy. It used to be completely good. Now I'm 5,000 short, which is odd because I wasn't 5,000 short before. But I think that's going to be okay because that's taking into account everything running, right? This ampere thing is taking into account everything running. And we're not running everything, right? You don't run everything all the time. For example, unless for some reason I had 64 Kerbals on board, I had all the life support, all the cultivation stuff running, all the habitation modules were running at full blast, all the lights were on, all the recyclers running, and I had both cyclotrons running with science. Let's say under that situation where I have everything running, we'll be 5,000 power short. 5,000 power usage on this station translates to like maybe 10 minutes in space. Maybe. So there'll be 10 minutes without power. Whoop-de-doo, right? Won't be that big of a deal. So anyway, that's that. I'm not gonna put it in space, but you guys can also see we had, it's this button? Yeah, we have a bunch of lights on there too. Don't think I forgot about the lights. There's a lot of lights on board too. We actually color-coded the lights. Can I turn the lights on with just a button, or do I have to have all these lights on too? I don't want all these lights on too. Turn these off, turn these off. I have done something. I've done something with the lights. I wanted to show you that, but these are really bright. Let me get some of these off. The bright ones are good because those will turn on when we're gonna dock to the station. As soon as something is gonna dock to the station, we'll turn all the lights on so it's really easy to see what we're doing. But when we're not docking to the station, right, we can have just like this. So each of the modules, if it's a place where a Kerbal can travel through, if a Kerbal can go through it, I've made it blue. So there's these little lights, right? Right here, these little blue lights. They're kind of a whitish blue. They're not really like a blue, but they're like a light blue. And they're in all these modules. There's 365 parts on the station. All these little blue lights. I think they look nice. If it's related to life support stuff, it's green, which really there's only 2 greens. I was gonna make green on these over here too, but then I realized the batteries themselves are emitting a green light anyway. So whatever, it's green. Then places that have resources or places that are uncrewable, places where I can't bring Kerbals, those have red lights. So there's red lights in these tanks, red lights down here, there's some red accents down here, right? And then, of course, the cyclotrons and stuff, you can see there's red lights over there. I think that's pretty cool. And then the places where ships dock, I just made it white. So like there's lights around each of the docking ports, making it even easier to see them, which is kind of cool, I think. And then at the very top of the station, let's see if I can just move this really quick. Someplace where I can see it better. The very top of the station, where the science stuff will dock, This has got like a purplish dark blue light. Just so it's different, just so I can see it. So the reason for the color coding lights also has a different purpose. If I'm coming and approaching the station from really far away, I'll be able to see visually what side of the station I'm approaching. So if I see a bunch of red lights on the side that I'm approaching, I know that I'm approaching this side from the back, right? So I know I need to make preparations to move to the other side. Likewise, if I see white lights, then I know that I'm actually pointed directly where I need to be, because the white lights are only visible if you're facing directly towards the docking ports. So it'll actually help with that regards too. Somebody said that the green lights are not aligned. Oh, is it bugging you? Is it bugging you not having a line? You know, there's not really such a thing as aligned in space, right? I guess there kind of is though, because these lights are, okay, fine, we'll move them, fine. Here we go. Let's move the CCR2 ports as well. I have CCR2 ports on this as well, so we can connect to it if we need to. Let's move the lights. Fine. There we go. They're lined up now. Are you happy? Do you want them down here too? You can't see them if we put them in there, so I have to put them down. And I want them to be really close to the CCR2 ports, so I can see the CCR2 ports and where that is. I didn't want to cover up the label. That's why I was doing it that way. I was trying to get around covering the label, but I guess, whatever. We fixed it. We fixed it, okay? Relax. We can fix it. I love live streams because you guys can tell me about things like that. Let's back this up a little bit, back this up a little bit. There we go. I don't really want to see the light fixture. I just want the light part of it, so like that. Yeah, that's good. So I'm not gonna launch this. I'm gonna launch it. I'll launch it when it's fully done. I'm not entirely sure I'm done with this, but I'm pretty sure I'm done with this. So I'm just gonna save this for now. And then I wanna go to 2 more places before the live stream finishes, where it's only 5 o'clock, so I'm actually ahead of schedule. This is great. I wanna go 2 more places before the live stream finishes. The first is I wanna talk about the different classes that are available for Kerbals now. I don't know everything about them, so take it as you will. I have a lot to learn about this. I have not used USI Life Support or the changes that have been made in the new colonization mod for USI. All of these changes are specific to 0.5, like all the brand new version of USI, the version that was not in 1.13. So there's changes here that I have to learn too. If I go to the astronaut complex, you'll see that we've got 29 Kerbals, which is the same number I had at the end of the recording for 85, which is, like I said, the footage is lost for. But I have all these different Kerbals. Now we have got the pilot, engineer, scientist. We got a second pilot, that's Valentina. Of course, all that stuff still exists. However, then it gets a little interesting. We then have a colonist. That's not a tourist, it's a colonist. We have a quartermaster, a mechanic, a biologist, a farmer, a technician. There's also a geologist. If I come down here further, we have miners, right? We have a biologist, we have a scout, okay? And then there's also a medic. I believe that's all the classes. And then, of course, there's tourists. I think that's all the colonists. Yeah. So, what are all these classes for, right? Like, wow, you know? Like, there's a lot of different things here. What do they do? Well, they do a lot of different things. I don't know all of it, but it has to do with managing different specializations in a colony. If you're going to colonize another world, there's different people have different specializations. At their root core, they're still following scientist or engineer, most of them, but there's little tweaks to how they work. So, for example, a miner increases your drill efficiency, just like an engineer would, right? They're able to specialize in drill operation and also perform geology research. Okay, that makes sense. They're miners. They know things about geology. That's cool. So it sounds to me, and this is only by description. I have to look at the wiki yet. So this is me talking out of ignorance because I had not looked at the wiki yet. But it seems to me, based on that description, this person should be able to do like science if it's like a surface sample or something, maybe. And it should also be able to operate a mine or operate drills with more efficiency like an engineer. So there's a little bit of scientist in him, and there's a little bit of engineer in him. Based on that description, that's what it sounds like. This colonist also increases funds. I don't know what that means, increases funds. Does that mean like when I complete a contract with this colonist, I get more funds because of this colonist is with us? I don't know. Stuff like that. I have to look that up yet. Technician, they can operate the industrial equipment that's building the colony. They can work in workshops to manufacture things in space, which is great. They also increase the resource converter efficiencies, just like engineers do. But they don't do any of the other things that engineers can do, right? So, for example, a technician is not going to repair things that are broken. That's not what they do. That's what you have mechanics for. Mechanics repair broken equipment. And they can also work in the workshop to generate and build things in space. But they don't do mining, for example. You can't have them staff a drill and have it increase efficiency. They're not a miner. They're a mechanic. So there's like little specializations that they can do. Then there's other really weird ones. Like having a colonist on board just generally increases all your funds, science, and reputation that you get. They don't really do anything, but they'll increase all of those stat boosts, I guess. That's kind of what it sounds like. Quartermasters, apparently, they're specializing in planet-wide logistics. So they can contribute to just the general research of things, but again, they don't really seem to do anything aside from increasing our funds and reputation that we get from contracts or something. It kind of seems like that's all that it does. Kind of seems like it. Then there's still regular scientists and engineers. They just tend to be rarer. You don't find them very often in this list. Like there's none available here. And they cost a lot. Like I thought these guys were supposed to be cheaper because they don't do as much, but they're not. They're the same price. So it just is what it is. We got a couple of engineers here. We got a couple of scientists. Some of them are like really stupid, but it is what it is. I don't know about pilots. And then there's scouts. Now scouts are cool. I think scouts are cool. And the reason I think scouts are cool is because if I'm sending a crew and there's a big crew and they're out doing something or whatever, and let's say I am not paying attention and they all become homesick, right? I kept them in space for too long. They all become homesick. Crap. Now I have to send a whole new set of Kerbals out there to rescue them because they're useless now, right? Scouts don't get homesick. From what I read, they don't get homesick. It sounds like that. The most inquisitive of Kerbals explorers, what they lack in technical skills, they more than make up for in their disregard for safety and tolerance for extreme adverse conditions. They have the ability to function even far from home in adverse conditions. I think what that means is that scouts can last longer without supplies, and they don't really get homesick much. It sounds like that's what it is, right? It says specialists are cheaper to recruit from the colony control panel. I'm reading the comments right now. Cheaper to recruit from the colony control panel. Okay, let's take a look. Colony control panel. Where is that? Is that right here? Is that what this is? That's ground workshops. Colony control panel. I have to learn all these different buttons now. I don't think that exists. Maybe it's this. Recruit Kerbals. Oh, wow. Oh my god. They're so cheap. You're right. They're so cheap. 250k for each of these. I could just recruit things at will? So I've been doing it wrong the whole time? I recruited every single one of those suckers from here, right? I paid like 400,000 for like all these specialists. But I didn't really pay that much because I cheated myself the money to get ourselves returned to the status, so I don't feel bad about it. But going forward, that is really useful, knowing that I can get one, or I can get a random one for $1,000. That's interesting. Okay, good to know. Glad I have that. Glad to know that. Okay, awesome. That pretty much covers everything I wanted to cover aside from talking about ground stations. So for that, first thing I want to do also is in the administration building. We do still have Strategia installed. Strategia is still a thing. I do want to go with the Duna program. For some reason, Oh, I've never actually had a crew go to Moon or Minmus yet. I have to do that yet. It's fine. But let's go to the spaceplane hangar. Let's talk about bases. So I think... hold on. Yeah, because as Sam said before, you don't know what their stats are. So like you could get one that's really stupid, which is not a super big deal, except the ones that have less stupidity actually do impact the performance of a lot of like their jobs in some situations. So having low stupidity is kind of a good thing. Okay, so ground stations, right? I have a similar idea that I had before, but this time we have to kind of mix it up a little bit. We have to a little bit. It's going to be simpler. I want to simplify things. Last time, I was making it really cool, really flashy, really complicated, and it was like, yeah, this is a great base. I love the way it looks. But I don't know if it would have functioned very well under a USI life support model. So it would have been fine with TAC, but I don't think it would have functioned super well with a life support model like this one. So let's do things a little bit differently. I want to start with... And a lot of people don't like these parts. I personally still like these parts, so I'm going to do it. This is planetary base systems. Now, the problem with planetary base systems, the problem I have with this system is that a lot of this is actually tuned for mods that I'm not using. Okay, now I'm using them, but I'm not using the resources. For example, they have this model for the workshop, right? There's a workshop module, which sounds great, except I can't produce anything in this other than rocket parts. I would have loved to have produced material kits instead, but I can't because it's not going to work that way. I don't know why, it just doesn't. So I can't do that. There's also rocket part storage, which again, can't use that. I'm using extraplanetary launch pads, but because I'm using it with USI and colonization, extraplanetary launch pads no longer uses rocket parts. It uses material kits and specialized parts. So I have no need for rocket parts. They're useless to me. I don't know whether or not I can still use them anyway. I doubt it. But if I can, then fine, but I don't think I can. Which means the metal storage and the metal ore storage containers are also useless. I could have deleted them, but now that I've started the campaign, I'm not going to delete parts. So here's my idea for the space. I want to get the adapter first. So let's find that adapter. Where is it? Not the midsection. I need the adapter. Where are you? There you are. Yep, that's the one I want. This side, this side, this side, and this side. I probably don't need it on all four, but I'm gonna do it anyway. You'll see why in a second. So let's get the let's get the low profile foot. And I'm just gonna put it like, yep, like that. Flip it around. Kind of hard to tell which way it's facing. Here we go. Okay, so that's gonna be the side I'm gonna use for this. Let's just do it this way. Let's copy this with the feet on it. Okay. So I think off to the front here, I'm not sure which side is the front and which side is the back. I don't know. I guess we'll go with the side that has the doors. The side that has the door and the side that has the new flag. I've custom made a flag. This is PII. See? Break through the horizon. I think it's okay. You can also see the flag on the wall somewhere too, probably. Yep, over there. It looks okay. I think it looks okay. If you guys are graphic designers and stuff and you want to make me a flag, go for it. You can send it to me at hottipsvideo@gmail.com. Say, hey, here's a flag for you, and I might put it on a craft or something later, you know? If you make me a flag, it'd be cool. I'll put it on, whatever. Anyway, shameless call-out concluded. Let's grab the agroponics module. Oh, there's also this. I think I can use this. I'm not sure, but I think I can use this. This is a launch pad. Ah? Come on, that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool. But I don't know if I can use it. I'm pretty sure, I think I can, but it's whether or not, it all depends on whether or not extraplanetary launch pads, despite not being used for rocket parts, can still build a craft to that launch pad and have it spawn on the launch pad when I build it. That might be cool. We'll see. For now, let's grab the agroponics module, which is, I think, down here. Metal storage. Planetary greenhouse, that's what I'm looking for. So we'll put one of these on each side. 2 greenhouses. And then we're going to have some supplies, I think, on each side of this. So something like, whoops. Something like that-ish. But I think I'm going to need some resources. So maybe on this side, I'm going to put some water drills. Yeah, they'll drill water out of the ground. I don't really use water that much, so I think 1 drill will probably be fine for that. And then we're going to put an inline drill for ore and stuff there too. And I probably will need several of those. It's not going to be symmetrical, but I don't really care. There's that. So now let's do some... I feel like this is a little loud. Let's dumb the sound down a bit here. I feel like that's just a bit loud. Okay, so question is, can it support 2.5 meter rockets? I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe we'll find out. Let's where is it? Launchpad. Let's see. If I do this, I can rename it. That's kind of nice, but no. All right, so it looks like it's not going to fit 2.25. I mean, it might. It doesn't look like it will. This is 2.5 right here, so maybe. Just the top piece, not the wide base. Just the top piece is 2.5 or 2.5. I think. No, I'm not sure about that. I have to check now. This is 1.2. Yeah, this is the 125 right here, right? So that's 125, and so this would be. Well, here. Here's the giant tank here. This giant monstrosity. There's your 2.5. It'd be close. I don't think it'd be safe. Right? Where's the... This is 2.5 here. Oh, actually, no. That was bigger. This is 0.25. Yeah, right here. There you go. There's your answer. 2.5 right there. Nice. Okay. Anyway, so I don't know if I can use that. So I'm gonna reserve. Maybe I'll incorporate that into the design later, but I'm not sure I can use that right now. Let's get one of these feet. Put this on the end here. Oh, that's not what I want to do. I want to put the whole adapter. There we go. Move the adapter over here. And then another one on this side. There. That'll kind of keep the base upright, you know? And these drills will just drill into the ground right in line there, which is kind of nice. This will grab us water. This will grab us some fuel. Now, on this side, I'm going to put the science bay, or science stuff. So, I think it's called a laboratory. Yeah, right here it is. Laboratory. Planetary laboratory. Kind of nice. I need the adapter, though. Let's grab the adapter. Let's put it on both sides. Okay, laboratory. And these all deploy, so like this will actually expand out like this. And then there's actually like a little, there it is, little telescope. See that? That's nice. I like that. And then you can see the size to scale. These are Kerbals, so you can see how big this is compared to the Kerbals. Right? It's a pretty good size. It's pretty good size here for these base modules. So I also want the Habitat Mark II. Want that here too. And then I'm going to put a cupola module on the tip of this. Okay. We need our laboratory back. Go. I don't remember what side that is, but I don't really care. On the top of this, actually, wait, let's get ahead of ourselves here. I want to have something similar to this happening over here. Except on this side, I think I want some more drills. Maybe I want the drills here instead. Nah, let's leave the drills over there. But over here, though, and this is the thing I have to work with, because with a planetary base, with a base on the surface of a planet, the dark time is what kills you with life support. It's the dark time. The bases I had on the moon before, if you didn't have the craft loaded, it wasn't actually using electricity. So it would just sit there and generate science, but it wasn't actually using electricity. I knew that, and I exploited that because it was like, you can. It's part of the game. Now I want to do it right. I want to have it be able to be self-sufficient during the nighttime. So that's going to make things very difficult because electricity is like being used a lot on these bases, and the dark times are really long, especially on bigger planets and stuff. Like Kerbin's dark time, well, it's like 3 hours, 4 hours, right? So like you're going to be using all that energy for that long? It's going to take a while. I think it's even longer on Duna. What's the dark time already here? Hold on. Let's... Right here. Dark time. Calculations. If I do Duna, surface dark time on Duna, I'm going to need... what is this? That's almost 7.4 million electric charge. That's how much that this... If I turned everything on and used it at 100% right now, I would need to have in storage 7.4 million electric charge to keep the whole base on during the nighttime at Duna. That's insane. It's an insane amount of electric charge. I don't have that much electric charge, obviously. So the base is going to need a way to have itself powered through the night, right? It's going to need to power itself through the night. We're going to try and use fuel cells for this. So I'm going to go with... I don't think I actually have big enough fuel cells, but we're going to try. This one here will use 0.02 liquid fuel and 0.02 liquid oxidizer, and it will output 18 charge per second from that. So, okay. Let's try that. Let's take a couple of these fuel cells, and we'll stick them over here. So if the calculation's correct, right, should be generating nearly 100 electric charge per second from those fuel cells, provided, of course, we have 1.2 liquid fuel and 1.2 oxidizer to use. What's the given period? Per second, right? So we need, basically, if the dark time, how long is the dark time? Dark time is what? Dark time lasts, surface dark time is about 3 hours. So we need 3 hours worth of fuel and oxidizer. Every day we need to generate 3 hours worth of liquid fuel and oxidizer on the base, right? As long as we have enough to where we can run these generators, these fuel cells, sorry. As long as we can... Is he doing it live or it's a recording? No, it's totally live. Totally live here. If I cough or somebody sneezes in the background, I'm not going to be able to edit it off. Anyway, so, where was I? Okay, we need enough fuel to where these fuel cells can run for 3 hours, right? And then during the day, we can recharge our batteries, right? But there's the thing. We actually don't need them to run for 3 hours, because we're going to have batteries banking up charge, right? We're going to have some battery power. So they don't need to run for 3 hours. They just need to run long enough to where the charge that we have in our batteries doesn't deplete by the time it becomes daytime again, right? Now, of course, in a real life situation, you would probably want 2 or 3 times that power, just in case your solar panels get damaged or equipment failure and you need to repair it. You'd probably want to have a huge cushion. But this is KSP. We don't have to worry about a random asteroid coming and wrecking our base. When they add that mechanic into the game, then we'll go ahead and plan for it. But until then, no. So, let's make sure we have life support and power. So, I'm going to take and put in... This one is going to have supplies, fertilizer, and mulch. I think there's a bigger container that has more supplies in it. I think there's a bigger one that has... this one. It's only 2,000 though. It's almost worth it to have the other one because it has the fertilizer built into it. So let's do that. So let's do that right there, okay? Now, this is probably okay. We need something else, though. We're going to need battery, obviously. Battery power. I'm kind of thinking I want to do something else on this end, though. Oh, we definitely need... We need storage for fuel, of course. So, let's maybe extend this out a little bit. And let's go... Let's grab another adapter. Where's the tanks? Tanks. Fuel tank. This holds 720 and 880. How much fuel do we need for these to run? I don't know how much electric charge we're using every second, so does it tell me how much we're using? I'd like to know how much power we're actually using with this configuration. Is this on like a per second basis? Electric charge used by the part module. Is this per second? I don't know the ratio. I'm gonna go with it being per second. So assume that it's per second. So we're using 112 per second, according to this. Does that make sense to me? I mean, it kind of does. 112 per second is what we're using. This has 150. That's 1 second of charge. This has nothing built into it. This has 200 built into it. That has nothing built into it. This has also nothing built into it. Okay. The drills are going to use power, although how much I kind of forget. Doesn't seem right. I feel like we're using more than that. This uses 4.5 per second. So let's take a look at the water drill. It uses 4.5 per second. So where's that part in the list? 4.5 per second on the water drill. Uses 15. What in the world is this ratio? 4.5 per second is what it said, but it's like every 4 seconds is this ratio? How does this even work? I don't know how this works. It says 112, but like I don't know if that's per what. The description says this uses 4.5 per second. That's what it says. But this is saying that it's going to use 15. Supercomputer, I'm going to launch this into space by putting all the modules together on a structural component. Probably have them attached with decouplers and struts. We'll send them up as in a sort of a rocket formation attached with parachutes. Then we'll send them to Duna. I've already done this in the series. I'm redesigning the thing I've already done. So if you've watched the Conquering Kerbal Space Program series, I don't remember what episode it is. It's probably somewhere... I couldn't tell you. High 50s, maybe, episode number. High 50s. Things that have Duna on the cover is a pretty good indication. But I'm basically going to have it all attached, all bundled up, and modularly bundled up. We send it to Duna. It gets into the atmosphere. We slow it down. It has a rocket. It uses up all of its fuel. And once we get into the atmosphere, we actually deploy all the parachutes and all the individual modules. And then when it gets near the bottom, where it's about to hit the ground with all the parachutes on it, I can stage it. That will detach all of the modules from the base, and all the modules will then have their own parachutes in the correct orientation, and they should all just land next to each other. That's the plan, right? That's the plan. Whether it happens exactly like that, I don't know, but that's the plan. They should all parachute down to the ground with parachutes attached in the correct orientation because the parachute will be on top of them. So naturally, that part will be facing up. And then they should all just rest next to each other. You know, they might be a little bit apart, but the hope is that I parachute the whole thing, slow it all down, so where it's all one big unit still attached to each other. Slow it down enough to where it's going maybe 5-6 meters per second at most. And then when it gets to be about 50 meters from the ground, maybe 100 meters from the ground, I stage it again. The decouplers have very little force. We've lowered the force, so they're not going to shoot away from each other. They're just going to detach. And the hope is that they detach from each other, right, and spread out like this, because the parachutes will make them all kind of get the right orientation, and they all just fall down next to each other. And then we go down there on the surface with Kerbals, and we move them around with our rovers and pop the whole thing together. That's the idea, anyway. But that's how we're going to launch this. So this will be divided into sections when we actually launch it. But in order to know if that's going to work, I need to have it set up on Kerbin to test it. And luckily, it looks like Duna's dark time is pretty much the same as Kerbin's. So I should be able to test this, provided there's an ore source nearby. I should be able to test this theory right on Kerbin before I launch it up in the sky, right? I did that with the other base. I tested it on Kerbin. But I didn't have USI life support before. Different parts, different power management, different needs, right? Now, speaking of needs, let's take a look at this base, right? We're talking about habitation, right? How long they can be till they're homesick. This base, as it stands right now, if I had 7 Kerbals in there, right now this holds 7. If I had 7 in there, they could go 2 years, 241 days before they were homesick. Almost 3 years they could last. Now, in order to be fully successful in what we're doing, I need them to have at least 5 years, right? I need them to have at least 5 years. So, probably not going to send 6 Kerbals. If there needs to be 6 on this in order for this to be like what do you call it, like another KSC, right? Like a remote control hub. There needs to be 6 on the base. If there's 6 on this base, it can act as a remote control hub, which means that I don't need to worry about signal delay with my satellites, because there's another KSC-ish, if you will. I've made another KSC. It's for the purposes of remote tech and we're controlling the non-unmanned crafts. I've made another one. And I can do that because of this probe that we unlocked before. Where is it? Probe. This one. Remote guidance unit. Which I'm going to place right there. That's where it was supposed to be the whole time anyway. Right there. But right side up. And then like this. Yeah, like that. RGU1. There it is. So kind of like that. Then for power during the day, right? We don't need the fuel cells to do things during the day. Fuel cells are only for the nighttime when there's no sun. When it's daytime, we need solar panels that are going to ram those batteries full quick. We want these fuel cells to not have to run any longer than they have to, preserve as much fuel as possible. And then we need solar panels that can keep the batteries at 100% despite all the drills trying to pump more power back into the tanks. So we need places to store ore, and we also need places to store the fuel. So I'm hoping I can't make these tanks store ore. So I'm gonna have to have separate storage for ore somehow. Probably gonna need more fuel than this too. Let's assume that we're using 1.2 fuel per. Actually, I'm gonna need more fuel cells than this, because according to that readout, I'm using more power. But it's okay, because if these are running during the night, then these are replacing like 95 electric charge. We're currently using 112. So we'll be draining like 25 per second. So if we're draining 25 per second, what's the calculator? Oh dear. Yeah, we're gonna need a lot of juice. We're gonna need so much. We need to get it to where we're not draining any, pretty much. We need more fuel cells. I mean, we're gonna need 90,000 charge overnight. I'm not digging that, not at all. Okay, so not wanting to have 90,000 charge on the base, how about we do this a little bit differently? How about we have more fuel cells so that we're not using any at night? Which means we're going to need more fuel. So that's just the way it is. How about we put... There's got to be a better way to organize this, isn't there? Maybe we do another tank. Well, let's assume, right? Let's assume that we're using... get my calculator out here again. Let's assume we use 3 liquid fuel every second. That would be 3 liquid fuel every second, yeah, for the fuel cells. So if we assume that we're using that much every second, that means we're going to be using 180 liquid fuel every minute. Really? It seems like it's a lot. It means we need 10,800 liquid fuel for an hour, which means we need, like, to be safe, like 35,000 liquid fuel every day. That seems like too much. That seems like those numbers are a little bit fudged. I'd like to see it in practice. I'd like to see it use it in practice. We can test that actually right now. We have these full, right? Yeah. Let's just launch this and see what happens. Let's just put this on the launch pad and see what happens. I want to see what these fuel cells are actually using, because I don't think these numbers are right. 9,000 per hour just seems super excessive. We need it to run for 3 hours. It just seems too much. I don't think we can generate that much fuel in a day. Like, we need so many drills. I don't think that's gonna be possible. So let's load passengers. Passengers for contracts. No, I'm not doing that right now. I have tourism contracts. So this is the base on the launch pad. It looks pretty good. I love the frame rates. It's great. You guys can't see it, but I'm getting a solid 60 right now. I'm streaming in 30 frames per second, though. Okay, so if I was going to take the fuel that's in here, and I was going to start these up. So let's start the fuel cells. So if I start these fuel cells, let's actually extend everything here. Start the life support, start farming. Start the life support, start farming. And then we're also going to turn on the habitat. We can also start the habitat in there as well. And I think that's kind of it. Yeah, that's kind of it. Oh, the drills. We need the drills to go. So let's deploy the drill. Let's deploy these drills as well. And start the surface harvester. Oh, I don't have ore tanks. I need the ore tanks, but I just want to see if it's draining the fuel. Electric charge is going down. What's this? I'm not using any electric charge right now. Is it because of the fuel cells, right? I think so. Let's speed up time really quick. This is being kept up. We're generating mulch. This is being kept up. Here's the dark time. Liquid fuel and oxidizer is being used, but it's not nearly to the extent that was saying before. Like, we just lasted all the dark time easily right there. I don't know what this is talking about. Those calculations are way wrong. That lasted the dark time easily. I got everything running right now. Well, maybe not. I don't think these are... It says they're running, but how can I be sure that they're running? You know? Maybe let's stop the fuel cell. If I stop these fuel cells, what happens to our charge? Because there's no ore tanks, so I don't think I'm actually... No, I'm using power. See, without the fuel cells running, we're using 2.93 per second. So almost 3 charge per second is what we're using here. So if I speed this up, you can see we're draining power really quick, right? But if I turn the fuel cells back on, this is why I'm saying you have to have it, you have to test it out before you know. You can't just look at the numbers in the readout, because the readouts are, I don't think those readouts are accurate. See, with the fuel cells on, our electric charge is back to being full again, pretty much. It's a little bit empty. It's not full completely, but it's not being used anymore. And then you turn it on time accelerate, and we're just using fuel. Like, this is easy. Am I missing something here? Our electric readouts is fine. We are using fuel, but it's nowhere near that much fuel. It's not like 9,000 fuel. It's like how many dark times I just lasted on purely on the fuel cells. That's it. Just the fuel cells. Our mulch tank is almost full. Let's speed it up to maybe not 3 times speed, maybe like, I don't know, like this fast. So we're now using about 1 minute every second, right? I still haven't ran out of fuel. Wow. I haven't placed any convertotron. No, I haven't placed any converters yet. Which converters would use electricity, but it also would replenish the fuel. Get the lab running too. I am. The lab is on, is it not? It says it's inactive. All right, let's fully crew this. Maybe you got a point there. Let's revert the flight to the spaceplane hangar, and let's see if I can crew this with people in their individual positions, max it out. I also want to have battery as well. I need the battery power. There's still some spots here too. Not sure what to put there. Yeah, like what do I put on this side? No idea. Let's get the... Oh, I need a couple of other things too. I need the Nomatron, or Nom something. I forget what it's called. The Nomomatic or something. I want that on there. This thing, Nomomatic. This big greenhouse thing at the top here. And then we also need antennas, because we're going to need to communicate too. So let's put 2 antennas. I want redundancy in case something breaks. Gotta have 2. Let's put them like, symmetry radial. Stick them here. And then let's rotate them a little bit like this. About like that. Now when we extend these, go up in the air like this. Is this really the best usage of this space? I'm actually thinking it's not. Maybe I don't want that. I'm actually thinking now I should probably just put an adapter and put a solar array on the top still. I was going to think about where I wanted the solar array, but I'm still kind of convinced I want it on the top. That looks stupid. But if we make it look better, then, you know, it'll look better. Like this. That looks much better, doesn't it? It actually looks like it belongs. Yep, I think we'll use that. Is there an adapter that goes from this end to a smaller end? I don't think so, actually. No, that's a different kind of adapter. I want, like... That's not what I want. I want something that takes me to this size. Ooh. It's a 10-meter one. Do I need a 10-meter one? I don't think so. I mean, I might. If I want big enough solar panels, maybe we'll just use the 10-meter. Just the 10-meter, then. Yeah, and then what am I going to use for solar? Probably like a mid-range. I don't want the same thing as on the station. It's too big. What about these 100 blankets? Put 2 of them on there. Like this. And I spread them out like this. Oh, I like that. Yeah, I like that. How big are these vertically, though? No. Like, there they go. That's what I want. Do I need... Yeah, I do want to have some height to this, so... The higher up I make this, the faster it will get to sunrises, and the longer it will stay on sunsets. So, like, basically, I just want this to be as high up as possible. without being too ridiculous. I think that's probably okay. Now it can see the sunrise, right? It can see the sunrise. As the sun goes up above, it will rotate and face the sun. And it will face the sun, it will face the sun, it will face the sun, and then it comes back down. So, like, it'll always have a visual of the sun. They'll rotate themselves and always have vision, which is nice. So let's say, assume that I do that. Let's get this thing crude. I want, yep, this is all full. The greenhouse, I want a biologist in there, and let's put a regular scientist, no, a farmer. Let's put a farmer in there. The habitat, how about we put a colonist in the habitat? We'll put a scientist in there. Scientist needs to go in the laboratory. There are already 2 scientists in the laboratory, so never mind. In the habitat you go. Medic, put you in the planetary greenhouse. Let's put a geologist in there too, why not? Actually, the greenhouses should probably have the farmers and stuff. Is there another farmer? Yes, there is. The last one I look at, of course. And then I'll put a scientist in there too. Or maybe an engineer goes in there. I don't remember. Let's just, whatever. I think it's fine. So it's fully crewed now. Shouldn't be any problems with that. Let's use... I don't even think I need any more fuel cells. I think that's enough. It appeared to be enough. I need ore storage. That was the big thing, because I don't know if the drills were actually running because there was no place to store the ore. I also need water tanks so that the water drill has a place to store the water. So let's get a water tank. I need planetary base systems. Let's go with this is parts. Where's my water tanks? Fuel container. Recyclers. Now, I think the recycler will actually help us with life support. But I'm not sure where I want to put that. It only helps us with life support if we're over the limit already, and I'm not sure we are. We might be. Recycler. Oh, I hate how it goes all the way over there. Like, what are you doing? Bring it back. Bring it back this way. Not even Alt will fix this. I basically need to, like... I know why it does it. I just refuse to follow the rules. There. Now it's in there. Now we'll take and move it from there to here. Oh, come on. There, right. Where are you? Right there. Okay. Now we'll get you in the position there. Just took forever. And actually, I don't want it there. I want it to be here. Or maybe here. Yeah, right here. Does that even affect the life support at all? I don't even know. Let's see. Recyclers only affect the life support if you have the capacity of Kerbals inside that needs it. So, for instance, this recycler will probably only affect 2 Kerbals. So if I already have enough recyclers to cover all the Kerbals, adding an additional recycler does nothing. It's just extra weight. Or it allows you to expand to hold more Kerbals later, and then that recycler will be useful. But take this recycler here. Does it change anything? It doesn't look like it. Yeah, it adds 2 days of supplies, so it is affecting us somewhat. Okay, let's use it then. And then put this there. Let's put on this side, let's put the end, the modular end. And we'll stick the feet on the end instead. Oh, come on. There we go. And then we need power. Batteries. Batteries. I need water tanks in there, actually. Do we have a modular end on this side? No, but we could. Yeah, let's just take this with the battery and put it over here. Come on now. Come on now. There we go. Okay, so I need water tanks and ore tanks and like all sorts of stuff. So is there a tank for K&K that holds ore? I mean, I would hope there is, because Like, there's inline drills, so why not have a tank that holds the ore? Fertilizer, container for parts. Doesn't look like it. Planetary base, supplies. This is a smelter. This is the K&K smelter, but I don't think this... Yeah, this is another thing, right? So if I want to use extraplanetary launch pads, which I totally do, but the thing is, if I'm not using rocket parts, I don't know how good this is going to be. This is a smelter unit, which takes your metal ore and your scrap metal and stuff, and it turns it into rocket parts, right? Pretty good method. It's nice K&K, it fits right in there, everything is great. But I think it uses only rocket parts. I don't think it actually supports USI. So, yeah, I'm not going to be able to use it. How about we go mulch? Nope. That's a metal ore drill. This is a narrowband water scanner. Guess I probably would want that on the top of this. That'd be fine, because that's where the water drill is, right? That'd be fine. What else? I need an ore canister, ore container. Do any of these hold ore? It just doesn't look like it. This is the water. This is the water containers. So we can put the water container so it has room to put it. Let's empty the container so that the drill will actually do something. And then ore. I mean, this is fuel. Ah, small ore container. Here it is. Perfect. Small ore container. Come on now. There we are. Yep, put this right there. Flip it around. Perfect. That's what we needed. And then, yep, they're already empty. Perfect. Okay, so we've got that done. The only thing I have left is really like, how would I convert the ore into fuel to get them into the tanks, right? What kind of converter can I use with K&K? I don't think there is one. I wish there was, but I don't think there is one. Let's use the modular end on this side too. You can do it, I believe in you. Nope. Oh, very close. There we go. All right, let's launch this and see if it still lasts as long as it said it did. Because I don't think that's... I feel like the math is wrong. I feel like it's not... I have to do a lot of careful piloting to actually assemble it on site. That's right, I do. That's right, I do. I'm actually thinking I'm not going to be using the legs. We're using legs here. You see these legs? Oh, hang on. Oh, hello. I love these solar panels. I don't know. Part of me doesn't like it because like they're not symmetrical, right? They're kind of like a little bit longer than the other, but like part of me also actually kind of likes that. I don't know. It gives it a little bit of character. The people who have ADD are just going to be like, why aren't they equal on the sides? Why aren't the shadows lining up? I kind of like it. I like how it casts the shadow too. That's cool. I just think that's cool. Okay, so if I turn the drill on, let's look at our EC charge here. If I EC charge, okay, yeah, is that like the ATM machine? Let's go ahead and deploy the drill. Wait, hold on, does this say, yeah, extend all drills, boom, done, all of them in one go. Start all drills, boom. Okay, so the drills are running now, good. Let's start this drill too. Oh, this is already running as well, okay. So the drills are all running now, okay. Got the narrowband scanner, that's doing its thing. Start the water scan, fine. What's the water here? Surface water is 24.8% average, so we're gonna get water, that's good. What about the fuel? I don't have one of the narrowband scanners for the fuel. I'm not entirely sure I've unlocked that tech yet. But we are getting ore, you can see it, we are getting ore. So that's definitely running now. Okay, so if I was to, okay, we're using charge. Yep, charge is going down. That's weird. If I time accelerate, it uses charge. But if I leave it real-time speed, it actually doesn't use charge. That's normally, isn't it normally the other way around? Yeah, if I time accelerate, it uses charge. Oh, now it's not. It corrected itself. That's pretty strange, but okay. Let's just leave it like this. We'll see how much charge this uses. We're using the scanner. We're using the drills. We're getting water, right? Yep, water's filling up. Okay, good. We've got the drills. Yep, they're operating at... it looks like they're kind of starting to run a little hot. It's because they have no... There's no... I need to get the radiators up to alleviate the drill's temperature. The drills are running too hot. Okay, so let's assume that we're going to start using a lot of power, okay? So, hold on. Let's think about this. Get the sun to go down. And we should be using a lot of power now. Let's see. No. Why are we not using power? What's going on here? I don't understand why we're not using power. There's no sun. We should be using a ton of power right now. Are the fuel cells on? Okay, the fuel cells are on. Okay, that's why we're not. I thought they were off. If I shut this off, how many fuel cells do we even need? It looks like we're still good, even with 3. Okay, now we're starting to use power. So with 2 fuel cells, we'll use power. But if I have 3 fuel cells running, then we lock it to 0. We're not using any electric charge. But we're burning through the fuel instead at 0.05 per second. I mean, that's nothing. We're totally fine there. That's nothing. Turn the lights on. Why don't we have the lights on here? Start habitat, start life support. That's got to use some fuel, right? Right? Stop research. They're already starting it. Start converter. What's the converter do? Probably converts. I don't know. Start life support. Habitat. Start habitat. Start life support. Start habitat. Start life support. Yep. Let's start this habitat too. Oh, we've already started that one. Okay, so we're still not using power. I can't make it use power because the fuel cells are working as expected. Right? The fuel cells are doing all the work here. Yeah. We're burning through fuel. If I time accelerate this, we're totally using fuel. Yeah. Okay then. Wow. So now I just need an ISRU for the base to convert ore, which I assume is almost full now. Oh, not even close. Did we stop the drills? The drills not go at night? No, they're still going. They're just not filling it up. I bet our concentration of ore on the launch pad's probably really low. But they're totally working. Yeah. Okay then. Fair enough. No, Kate. The stream is from 4 to 6. Learn to tell time. Learn to tell time. I think this is gonna work. I thought power was gonna be a nightmare. But because I didn't think that I'd be able to put enough fuel cells on this to make it viable. Because I really honestly expected I like how the solar panels were actually rotating with the Earth. Like, the sun was below us, if you will, like on the other side of the Earth, and the solar panels were rotating towards it anyway. That was funny. These solar panels rotate like this, they follow the sun, and then they actually kept rotating. See that? They're still rotating with the sun on the other side of the planet until it gets to the horizon, and there we go. So we'll be able to tell what time it is by looking at our solar panels. Be like, oh yeah, the sun's gonna come up soon. The solar panels are almost there. That's cool. I can do a crew report or something here, right? Crew report. Level up crew. Oh, I can level up my crew from in here too. No astronauts on board are ready to gain experience. Nice. You don't have to return to the space station anymore. Start habitat, start life support, start water purifier. Start research, why not? Okay. Well, this has been fun, guys. I think that's gonna do it for the stream. This is a real revelation. These fuel cells are much more effective than I thought they would be. We are gonna need to pump out the ore though. These little drills are not pumping out enough ore. There's 28 each in each of these tanks, and we need to be able to convert. I don't know, maybe we are fine. I mean, these tanks are barely used. Let's see, we're currently been out in the launch pad now for a day, right? So if I go like this, how long does it take before we lose all of our fuel in these tanks? Right, so let's pause it here. Let's bring it to the daytime again. All right, so it's the middle of the day now, kinda. It's now day 34 on the launch pad. 34 days we've been here. These fuel tanks are getting low. These ore tanks are full. There is 200, 400, 600, there's 1,200 ore here. What does 1,200 ore translate to in terms of, like, liquid fuel and oxidizer? I don't know. But I bet it's enough to keep us going. This might work just the way we have here. That's great. Okay. Cool. I've been sitting on this launch pad for a month. Okay, that's actually pretty sweet. So, I'm gonna leave the stream here. It's been fun. It's been really eye-opening too. I really honestly anticipated me having to do a much more complicated arrangement, but this will actually work provided I can find an ISRU that will fit on this body. Like, what would I use for? Well, I'll need thermals. These are getting hot, so I'll need some thermal stuff. But like, that's not hard, right? We just go to like these radiator panels, and I can just pop a couple of radiator panels, maybe like on the top here. You know, like I don't know, like this. That's probably enough to take care of it. Just those three right there, that's probably enough to take care of it. It doesn't look very good, so I'll probably put it somewhere else, but like, that would probably be all I need. This takes care of, well, yeah, it uses 1.5 charge per minute. Big deal. Compared to what I was just seeing, big deal. Or we can use like one of these expandable ones, right? See the little ones like this? And then we just kind of extend it up, right? Could just do that. Or maybe even if we're really worried about it for some reason, we could use the medium-sized one. That would certainly take care of it. It doesn't get in the way of the solar panel either. You could always put it like, oh, my dog's gonna go freak out now. Great. Sorry, guys. If we did it like this, and then kind of like this, it'd be kind of weird, but it works. That would take care of the heat problem. So, I don't know. I'll look into that. It's been fun. I think that's gonna do it for the stream, guys. Thanks for joining me. If you like it, please give it a thumbs up. It helps people see it. Helps the channel grow. Subscribe if you want more. If you want more KSP, you can also check out some of my other series. I'm having a really fun time with XCOM Long War 2 right now. That's a lot of fun. We also have a prison architect series that I'm about to wrap up, which is like a prison town. Every cell goes outdoors, so it's kind of unique in that way. But And we've had some interesting characters develop in that series over time. But that's going to do it, guys. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.